Well, we are starting our Sunday here on our way to, Kent, I believe. Ollie has aspirations of playing hockey also this year. I don't know how that will play out. We'll see. The first part of our trip is underway. We're a few minutes. So he's got to go on the ice at 10:30. We're going to get there on 10 after 10. And the reason being, I did make a little boo-boo yesterday. The problem, I made a mistake yesterday. I left our passports and their Nexus cards in our car. So no, that's a different one. So the way that this trip worked out for us, because of all the driving and the distance between the Poconos and Kentucky, actually was the sticking point. Greg had pointed out, I had put it in when I looked at my GPS, I put in the Poconos to Scioto, when in actual fact I was looking for the math for the Poconos to Kentucky, which was quite a bit more. We're looking at almost 10 hours. So that just wasn't going to happen. So how would I fix that? I had talked about it in the video before. We rented a car. So I figured it made the most sense to go to Cleveland Airport, rent this car, and then rent this car, drive it to the Poconos, leave this car in the Poconos, fly to Lexington with the kids. They wanted to come. It's their last day before school starts, 2 days before school starts. Hang out in Kentucky, swim, go to supper, and then drive back to Brunswick on Monday afternoon. Now, the first hiccup of this was I left the passports and the Nexus cards in the car at the airport. Yep, thank you, Allie, for that. I had to get up this morning a little bit earlier. Now, we only live 19, 20 minutes, 70 minutes, whatever, from the airport. It's a simple drive, especially on a Sunday. I was in and out, no problem, but I had to get back in time to take Ollie to hockey, which we're on our way to do right now. And then immediately rush home. He has to jump in the shower quick, put his hockey equipment away, and then we're on our way to the Poconos. Exactly. Everything should work perfectly fine from here on in. Now, I'll tell you what, I really dodged a bullet, though, when I was booking Ava's flight. So, also going on right now, Ava went to PEI for 8 days with her grandparents for Old Home Week. Now, for those of you, a little side note that tuned in last night, congratulations to Corey McPherson, who won the Gold Cup and Saucer. A really, really nice kid. You know, in 2007, 2008, both Corey McPherson and Mark Campbell worked for me in Ontario, and it was a really cool time. James was just a kid also, so there was a lot going on. We had a lot of fun in the barn, and I was really, really happy for Corey last night. Mark has won it 2 or 3 times now. Campbell, he was the favorite. His horse didn't race as well, but Corey's horse, Mickey Shen, certainly did, and won the race last night, PEA. So congratulations to Corey. Just a great, great kid, and it's nice to see an Islander. Anytime an Islander can win the Gold Cup, it's always nice. So congratulations to him. Now, Ava's in PEI with her parents, or what grandparents it was. Now, when I booked her flight, I had an option. I had Porter Airlines or Air Canada. Now, to be fair, Air Canada has been fine to me over the last 2 years, but of our entire relationship, Air Canada and I've grown less fond. I've had a little disdain towards them for quite a while, especially when I was younger. You know, their flights are a little more expensive. They weren't as accommodating. You know, it's just big company mentality. I didn't like them. So I just booked with Porter. That was my default. Anything but Air Canada. So I booked with Porter. Ava flew down, and I'd flown with Porter before. They're nice. Ava flew down there. Her flight was 6 o'clock this morning. And as I get up, I forgot all about it. I remember hearing about it in the news a little bit. Air Canada's on strike. I see all these people getting rides out of the Maritimes, leaving PEI with other people they didn't come with. Air Canada's not flying. Porter was. So Ava made it to her flight, got on her flight. She's on her way back. Now, the only hiccup, the other thing I missed was maybe you'll notice this also. Oh, I missed my exit. That's all right. We'll get the next one.
Did you miss a turn?
Yeah, I just missed a widow turn. It's not going to make that much difference. 1 minute. So, when you're booking flights on Expedia or whatnot, when you go to book out of a Toronto, it'll say all Toronto airports. Now, to me, I just assume that's YYZ. That's Pearson Airport. But there is Toronto Island. And Porter used to fly out of Toronto Island only. They only started flying out of Pearson over the last little while. So, it never dawned on me, but Avis' flight back in was to Toronto Island, which in hindsight doesn't matter because there's no other flights going in Pearson anyway for Air Canada. Can you imagine how much money they're losing a day because of the strike? Anyway, so Amy's on her way down there. Amy does not like traffic. She didn't want to drive down to Toronto Island. Plus the CNE, the Canadian National Exhibition, is on right now, so there is traffic. But Amy, because she's a great mom, a fantastic mom, is always worried about the kids, right? I booked Ava's ticket. There's a connecting flight. I knew that she wasn't going to be okay with the connecting flight, but I opted not to tell her. Ava was connecting in Ottawa, and Ava's fine. She's perfectly fine to do that. And then flying back into Toronto Island. And Amy's always worried about the kids are starting school. So, you got to get this done. You got to get that done. But she has all day to do it. But there's no point in just saying, every time I tell Amy, just relax and go easy, she'd want to kill me. So I just said nothing. I said, honey, you're going downtown Toronto in the morning on a Sunday. Why don't you just park the car, walk to a restaurant with your daughter, and have some breakfast. Just relax on the lakefront for half an hour or so. Ask her how her trip was. Ask her how things are. But no, Amy wants to get on the road and get back to Ohio, and I don't blame her for that. That's fine. So as I leave Ohio and head towards Pennsylvania with the two little ones, she is arriving.
I'm not little.
You are a tiny little turd.
I'm a big girl.
Oh, are you a big girl? Really? So the big girl and Ollie and I are heading to Pennsylvania. So it should be a lot of fun today. We've made our way back onto the on-time schedule. Ollie's going to get here, go on the ice, have some fun playing a little hockey, and then back to the house and on our way to the Poconos. So that's today. That's Corey. That's the Gold Cup. What about last night? I'll tell you what. We had one high point, some lower points. I told you guys yesterday I was guarded. The horses in Northfield have not raced very well for the most part, off and on for 3 weeks. A combination of in tougher classes with some of the stake horses. Some of the overnight horses have been flat. They just haven't been good. And, the one thing about viruses or any of that, they will pass. But last night was not helpful. Freedom Hill back in 4 days on the front end. She's never good on the front end. But I don't know if everything was articulated as well to Greg. I spoke to him briefly about the filly, tried to convey that she would be a favorite, but at the same time doesn't do her best work on the front, but ended up on the front and ended up walking. Was that the virus? Was something going on? There was nobody there to scope the horse last night, so I'm going to assume it's the same thing that has gone on with a lot of the horses last week. A little bit of sickness, maybe a few specks of blood, just not 100% on top of their game. And staying with that, Resolve Indeed, no. First over, it's not a place for her to be. Not on the front and not first over. Leave, sit, and see what you can get. So she might have been a little rowdy last night, and Greg wheeled her first over. It's hard, right? Looking at the lines of the horses that are racing well and trying to drive them accordingly, knowing that they're supposed to be good enough. But as I said, whatever's going through that burn right now in Ohio, they're just two steps last night, a little worse than they need to be. There's nothing we can do about that. It will pass. It goes through every single barn from time to time. We've been fortunate for quite a long time. I don't remember the last time our horses have been in neutral, let alone reverse. Doesn't happen very often. So there isn't much to say about what went on last night. Now, to start the afternoon, Arrowhead Hanover, I didn't even want to watch the race, to be honest. Arrowhead Hanover's the type of horse that likes to mix it up, right? He likes to be... Ollie, turn that down.
Please.
Hey, listen, Usher, just turn that down a little bit, will you? Thanks. Yeah, please, thank you. Thank you, Addie. It's a politeness, please. So Arrowhead Hanover's more like a horse that likes to mix it up. And he wasn't given an opportunity to mix it up yesterday. And that's not James's fault. The horse is buried. We wanted to be in the Constellation C, the $100,000 one, not the top one. And it just didn't work out well for us yesterday. You know, Fashion Green, those horses are all killers. Not to mention we drew the outside. Now we draw 1, 2, 3, and you push them through and keep them on a helmet, keep them interested. Maybe that works out. Maybe we grab a bone. Maybe we finish beat 4 lengths and close. But that's not what happened, right? He had the 8-hole, and he got away at the back. James said, oh my God, he's lazy. I said, James, it's not that he's lazy. He can read a program. 1, he's in tough. 2, he drew the outside, and 3, you got away last. And that's not your fault. Normally, I would be blaming you, but there's nothing you can do. I almost didn't want to watch the race. There was almost a certainty what was going to happen. And Chris, one of my partners, saying, I know that, you know, he was in tough, but geez, he didn't look very good. Horses like him that like to be in the mix never race good when you just let them fall off the gate and get away last. And then when you got to chase speed that is at your max speed the whole way, I can hear that, bud. Thank you. Why do you keep listening to the same song also?
It's not over yet.
How many songs are on your playlist? Like 3? 6. So Arrowhead Hanover.
1,600.
So Arrowhead Hanover, there's not much you can do with that. Listen, it's a non-race, right? It's like saying, here's a maiden, we're going to put her in the non-winners of 6. Oh, darn it, she drew the outside, or he drew the outside. It's just not a place, there's nothing you can do for Arrowhead, right? But it is a horse race. We're not going to scratch him. We took him there, raced him, it didn't work out. Millie Girl, you know, she was just angry last night. You know, and that was the way that Greg put it. You know, we have the cord in her mouth, and she doesn't like the cord. I've raced her every start of her life like that. So I've never seen her be angry on the track, and she was, you know, obviously just, that's enough. You know, it's the same as all the other horses that we didn't quite get a mark with this year. I would have liked to put a 2-year-old mark on Millie Girl and turn her out in the field, coming into the field on a high of feeling good and racing good. Instead, you know, goes on the track and gets angry and makes a break going up to the gate. Not the way that I would like to script her final start of 2025, but as I say all the time, the horses don't really care what we think. She just acted up, and Greg didn't know her. You know, this is the reason, you know, these are the things that annoy me when, like last week, I tried my best to plan my week so that I could be where I needed to be, right? Arrowhead Hanover drew the outside. All right, we can take that off the board for Anthony. Now, when it came to Time Is On My Side, he was supposed to race in the Meadows on Friday in the Open. The Open at the Meadows did not fill, so we ended up in the Open at Scioto. It seemed a little salty coming in off 5 weeks, but we have to get a race into them, right? And they're not letting a horse that finished second in the Houghton race in a soft class somewhere. So I'm coming into, I get all the way there, drive all the way there, Arrowhead Hanover raced. Millie Girl makes a break. Freedom Hill walks. So I'm coming into Time Is On My Side, and I'm thinking, man, it's a short field, but here's the timeline for Time Is On My Side, just so you know. And this is what was weighing on me. Somebody said, geez, you could have got away a little in the 2-hole maybe? July the 14th or 12th is his last race. He was in the field for 2.5, 3 weeks. We bring him back, jog him a week. And I said to Tim, you know, they got that, the Batavia calls Tim and then calls me and says, you know, we have the Casey Kane coming up. You know, would you be interested in racing your horse in it? Well, for us to do that, we would have to get a start, or I wouldn't feel comfortable going into an invitation of any kind without a start under his belt. Now he's been jogging a week. He's only been off 2.5 weeks, whatever. Just train him up, see how he feels. Tim trains him in 58, says he feels awesome. He strays the string, he feels very, very good. I said, okay, would like to get a race into him. I wonder if we can get a race into him somewhere. So the Meadows seemed accommodating, except can't get in. Class didn't fill. Called Jason Roth. He said, we're going to have a short field. It's a salty crew. Like, they're going to be good horses. I said, whatever. Just put him in. Draws the rail, which is good, but I don't know how he's going to be. He's going to be short. Little Rocket Man. Little Rocket Man made over $500,000 last year. He is cute. I told Addie, Little Rocket Man's a half brother to JK Victory, which I didn't know until last year. So a stiff crew coming in off of 5 weeks at 1.58 miles, far from ideal. So I'm saying to myself, well, let's don't tax him off the car, get away close-ish, have him finish up good and see how he is. And that's how good Time Is On My Side is. I didn't really push through, but it looked like the 4 was coming down, and my front feet were there on the inside, and I think it was Austin got squeezed a little bit, and I had to take back quick. Now I could have pushed through easily if he was tight. If we're coming in, if last night was next week, I'd push right through. I wait for Little Rocket Man. I cut him loose. I'm on his bumper. I'm not so sure I don't beat him last night. I'm on his bumper. Now, having said that, classy horse, wrapped up halfway down the lane. I wouldn't get too ahead of yourself. But Time Is On My Side, paced what? 48-3, 26-1 on the end of it, off 5 weeks. 5 weeks, that's what he was off. He's an incredible animal and an incredible mile. Now, right after the race, Jason Roth had walked over to me and said, Anthony,
why is it beeping?
it's just because there's a car turning, it's just sensors, honey. Jason Roth walks over and says, we had to send it in next week for $100,000. Would you like to race Time Is On My Side in it? Yes. So we're going to forego the Casey Kane Memorial, which I would have. It was only because it's on a half, and Time Is On My Side's a bigger horse. He obviously got around Scioto very, very well last night, so it just made the most sense to go to Scioto. The softer crew would have definitely been in Batavia, but it's also a half. You don't know where you draw. We draw the 7-8 hole on a half-mile track. I don't care who you're in with. It's going to be tough sledding. So Time Is On My Side will race in the Send It In Invitational next week at Scioto. It's a $100,000 race next Saturday night. The only thing that is concerning about that is that Perfect Thought races the same night, and Scott has told me he's going to be in Ontario, Canada, as will every other major driver in North America with stake drives. Now, maybe Mark, I don't know, obviously Mark isn't hooked on any big accounts yet this season, so maybe he'll go drive Perfect Thought. And there's a potential that also next weekend Raging Hanover could be racing. My apologies to everybody again too. I always remember, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I always remembered after the Hambletonian, the Meadowlands shut down for a little bit. I thought it did. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe they just changed it over the last year or two. But they race straight through into September. So Raging Hanover will actually race at the Meadowlands, not at Yonkers. Now, unless the class doesn't go, I suppose. So, Time Is On My Side, to say a shining point in the night, week, or even almost a month would be an understatement. Now one horse can't save a giant stable, and one horse can't pick everybody up, but it's definitely something to focus on when there's a lot of things that aren't going right now in the barn, and he certainly did that for us. So a great job by Tim and the young lady paddocking him last night. Damn, I meant to tip her and I forgot. Did a great job too, so I apologize. I can't remember your name, but thank you for taking care of the horse last night. Now, we had 2 left. Resolve Indeed, as I said, just, you can't, no, not first over. Can't do it. Especially coming in when the barn is flat as a pancake right now at Northfield Park. Yeah, it's just the way it is. It's the way it worked out. She might have been tugging pretty hard on Greg. She can be a little ornery in the when you're sitting in a hole with her, so that could have played a role also. And then Greatest Ending, that horse should have been 1-2 last night, right? again, now the Mohawk isn't usually like that, but that's the day and age that we live in. You know, poor Kathy's probably got days off or doing something, so nobody is there to scope a horse at Mohawk, the premier track in Canada, one of the leading tracks in the world, and there's no one there to scope the horse. So that's too bad. I'm sure we would have seen a little bit of blood. As I said to Jason last night, I said, you know, this horse was never a bleeder. He goes, Anthony, this horse is not a bleeder. There was trickles there, and that's where we found, that's when he bled the first time. There was just trickles of blood there, right? We just put him on it to put him on it. He said, so, I don't know, we'll talk to Harry. It has to be a Harry and Jason thing. Jason McGinnis knows Greatest Ending very well. He can collaborate with Harry, but as I said, either he's got to come back to south of the border, or race him at Georgian or Grand River or something his next start. But we got to get this horse moving in the right direction. You know, we had him, Jason had him good for about 4, 5, 6 starts, and then that quarter crack came, then he tied up, and then it's back to square one. All right, Ollie, are you ready to go? We're almost here.
What do you mean we're almost here? We're here.
Are we here? The red dot's down the street. We are not here. We are almost here.
You're 0.1 miles away.
That's correct. That's almost here. We're on the right Cartwright Hall. So with that, I'm gonna let you guys go. We are at the hockey place of some sort. Here it is, right here. It says. Oh,
How did I know that it would do this?
Yeah, we gotta find. It's not the GPS's fault. We have to find where this place is. Of course, we're at Kent State University. Are you kidding me? Anyway, take care. I will talk to you all very soon. Have a wonderful Sunday. I'm sure we'll do some videos on the way. Take care.